I will now share my screen and then do the housekeeping items. Good morning once again. Welcome to our WRC webinar, Announcement Engagement, Stakeholder Engagement Announcement for Water Research Commission 2023 to 2028 Strategy and New RDI Themes. Apologies for the date. The date today is the 29th August from 9 to 11. This is our 1, 2, 3, 4. This is our fourth session. We're now left with 3, the one in the afternoon, and then there's the last one tomorrow. So I'll start with the housekeeping items. We request that delegates only make use of the video function when speaking. Remember to look at the camera and not the screen. Mute your mic if you are not speaking. Use the chat to post questions or raise your hand to share ideas and engage in our webinar. Wait for the facilitator to call on you and will unmute your mic. Presentations will only be made available once we finish the last one, which is tomorrow. So after tomorrow, we'll then be sharing the presentations. While they're still ongoing, we're not sharing the presentation. So please bear with us. We'll share a recording and then we'll share the presentations. So we request that delegates only use the Q&A section to post questions. If you use the Q&A, it allows all the participants and the panelists to be able to track questions. Once you post your questions, the question, once has it been answered, it goes to an answered box. So it's easier for panelists to track all the questions. So we request that you don't use the chat where everyone has been posting, asking if we can see them or we can hear them. All the participants at the moment, their mics are muted, but once they want to say something, they need to raise their hands and then we will then unmute them when it's time for questions. Here's a short program. I will then now hand over to our facilitator, Ms. Virginia Molose. Just for like 2 seconds, you can just browse through to the program and then I'll hand over to her. Thank you so much. Over to you, Virginia.
Good morning, everyone. As Tobile has said, my name is Virginia Molose. I am the program manager here at the Water Research Commission, managing the Guyana Local Scale Climate Resilience Program. I'd like to start off by apologizing for a slight delay. We had quite a bit of a health scare here at work, so we had to find alternative spaces. Apologies for that. We don't take for granted at all that you have stayed on despite those challenges. We would like to get started, please, and we start off with a video from our CEO, Dr. Jennifer Molandwa, giving us opening remarks. But I see also she is here in the session. Maybe after the video, the CEO might want to say a word or two. But for now, let's cross over and play the record. Thank you very much.
Morning, everyone. My name is Jennifer Molandwa. I am the CEO of the Water Research Commission. I know by now that a lot of our researchers out there and stakeholders and people that have got interest in doing research, development and innovation with the Water Research Commission have been asking about when is the call of the Water Research Commission coming out. This communication therefore goes to address the stakeholders, the researchers, and those that are interested to participate in the next research call, just to detail and outline what the WRC intends to go forward in terms of the strategic direction. We have noted that climate change has really brought on some challenges with regards to water availability, water quality, the extreme weather events, and all of this has South Africa has not been spared in this regard. In fact, this is a global phenomenon. And as we look at the research outputs that we have over the last 50 years, we have taken a strategic decision that the WRC needs to be more responsive to the challenges that South Africa is experiencing, particularly in the water and sanitation sector. By that, we're saying we are still going to continue doing some blue sky or innovative research, but we are more focused for the next 5 years in ensuring that the research outputs are more practical, more responsive to the challenges. We are noting that there is a challenge around technology and innovation uptake from all the research that has been done, particularly in the last 10 years in the water and sanitation space. And the question that we have asked ourselves was, if all of this research was done and that the funding which comes from the water research levy has been expanded, including leverage funding from some of the international and national funders such as the DSI, if at all we have undertaken this research, but we're having this challenge around uptake of research, where could be the disconnect? My take is probably similar as all of us. The legislative environment is not really conducive for uptake of innovation and technology. But also, maybe we have not in the past gone out to the stakeholders to share with them our strategic vision, to share with them the kind of innovations and technology and research that we are doing, but also to get a sense of what is critical at the different levels of government, at the different provinces, as well as district and at local. And what we have done in the last few months of the new financial year starting April 2023, we have gone around to the provinces to identify where the critical challenges are, where the disconnect is, and what are the needs that the provinces and the stakeholders would like for us to research, to develop, and the technologies and innovations that are required. And we have been able to garner information that's going to enable us to have site-specific solutions where we will not be talking about challenges of uptake, but we will know that across government, across the private sector, and the different government departments, there will be engagement around the innovation, the technology. There will be opportunities for piloting our technologies and innovation in ensuring that we build a resilient and water security South Africa. We have also been in research and development focusing on technologies, particularly in the sanitation space, where we noted that because of the disparity in availability of water, or should I call it limitations in the availability of water, we have found that where you really are born determines the kind of sanitation that you have. In this regard, we can cover the rural South Africa, we can cover rural schools, we can cover informal settlements, and we really realize that the sanitation products and technologies or solutions that have been provided are really not that dignified. And we know that the motto of the Department of Water and Sanitation says, water is life and sanitation is dignity. In this regard, we have focused our efforts in ensuring that when we're looking at the school's environment, we partner with the Department of Basic Education to ensure that we have got sanitation solutions and toilets that are child-friendly, that will not put the risk of our children, the lives of our children at risk. We have also looked at areas where there is limitation of water, and we understand, as the globe has also realized, you cannot have infrastructure that is reticulated, that is flushing everywhere because of the limitation of water. In that regard, we are focused to say, let us try and come up with solutions that are site-specific, that will enable everyone to still have a dignified toilet, and that will also be able to flush and give them the kind of experience that one would experience in an urban area, for example. And in that regard, the next call of the Water Research Commission will come out in the second quarter of the 2023-2024 financial year. We have got thematic areas that we'd like to focus on, starting with water quality and health, as we have seen the research challenges in our country, where the people of Hammanskraal were experiencing the outbreak of cholera. And at the root cause of it, water and sanitation were the culprits. And then we are also focusing on water availability. We need to start focusing on conjunctive use of water, the different water sources, the different models of delivering water and sanitation services to the people of South Africa. We are also focusing on ecosystems, we are focusing on groundwater, we are focusing on the impact of load shedding in the delivery of water and sanitation. So I'm looking for sustainable solutions that will be able to assist the South African government to deliver on this big mandate of water and sanitation. We also have realized that research and development has become a scarce skill. Traditionally, universities are in the business of producing knowledge and ensuring that they are producing graduates for the sector. But we have found that many of our researchers have been in the space for a very long time. We have not focused ourselves in bringing new and emerging researchers into the space. And as a result, we are also focusing on making sure that the research space is inclusive. We are looking for youth, we are looking for women, we are looking for people with disabilities from the research space, students, as well as SMMEs, to take part in the research and development and innovation for South Africa. We want to ensure that going into the future, there is a resilient water security South Africa where water can be used sustainably. We also are focusing our efforts on monitoring in order to be able to support the Department of Water and Sanitation. We are also wanting to focus our efforts on ensuring that there is an integrated approach in sharing the financial resources of South Africa so that not all of us are spending a rent to collect a sample and data which can be shared. So we're working in partnership with our partners and other departments such as SOurce, the Agricultural Research Council, to make sure that we have the necessary data that is required to enable South Africa to better model climate change impacts and to better plan and prepare ourselves for this climate variability, which is already a reality.
Over to you, Virginia.
Thank you, Tobile. You might have 2 minutes. Thank you, CEO, for the comments. We also recognize you in the group. I suppose if you get any, if you have any comments, you would also post them there in the chat. We recognize that you're not feeling well this morning, so we will take your chat in the chat group if you have any. I would like to hand over now to Mr. Jay Bagwan, who's acting for Professor Stanley Lipati, the Group Executive for Research, Development and Innovation. Jay, over to you.
Good morning, and thank you very much. I just want to get my screen working. Where are we? Can you all see that? Morning, can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can see, Jay. Just make it on presentation mode.
It takes some time. It is on presentation mode.
Okay, all right, cool.
Okay, so good morning on behalf of the WRC Group Executive R&D. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it today, so I am presenting this on his behalf. My name is Jay Bagwan, and I'm one of the executive managers at the Water Research Commission. The WRC, has two kind of divisions, and one of the key one is on
Sorry,
research.
Jay?
Yes.
I think stop and then reshare again because it's still not on presentation mode.
Is that better?
Yes, but then you need to swap screen so that you don't see your notes. Wow.
How do I do that?
It's fine, Jay. You can go ahead.
Is that better? Is that better?
That's okay.
Jay,
That's perfect.
Yes.
it's much better, thanks.
Okay. Sorry about that. So I'm going to share, as the CEO has pointed out, that under her leadership, we have gone through a new 5-year strategy, in terms of setting a direction, and it's based on a lot of engagements, a lot of foresight in where we should be pitching our new attention in terms of research, innovation, and more emphasis on uptake. And if you're aware that the WRC came through a process of key strategic areas, we're now moving into the space of thematic areas to respond to the challenges that we see, but using the thematic approach to harness and nurture greater interaction or interconnectivity between the subject matters, that we can tackle them inclusively, rather than very topic based and very silo based. And this whole strategy is designed in that direction. But just to remind everyone, what our mandate is, and we're not shifting away from that the WRC coordinates, promotes, and funds water RDI, research, development, and innovation in South Africa. And it is done by us prioritizing water research that is informed by the needs of the water sector and stakeholders. And that the RDI agenda projects of the WRC must be, aligned towards making meaningful contribution in addressing water challenges, water security, and contributing to socio-economic upliftment in South Africa. So we're also there to stimulate, a very vibrant and new innovative driven water sector to deal with many of our challenges. Now, as we know, we kind of in a perfect storm when you read many of the kind of situations we're dealing with around blue drop assessments, the green drop assessments, the performance of municipality, the problems with our water environment, etc. It's at a space where we have to, change course and direction. And so the WRC has organized itself through these 5 thematic areas. And we believe that we can, use these thematic areas to achieve the kind of outcomes we're designing for. And the 5 thematic areas deals with water availability. And you'll hear my colleagues giving you a little bit more detail on the objectives and content of each of these thematic areas. So water availability deals with everything of how we manage the resource from a water quantity and a water quality perspective. Water use, looks at everything of how we can improve, our water use from an efficient perspective in industry, mining, agriculture, as well as the domestic environment, but also start saying that all sources of wastewater, grey water is a source, and how do we integrate it in the water mix through technology and innovation. The third theme is water quality and health, and as you'll see that we're putting a lot of emphasis by bringing water quality higher up in the agenda, because I think in the future, managing the resource and use from a water quality perspective is very, very key. We've seen that from the Hammanskraal incident. So we're giving greater priority to build, our knowledge base, our innovation base on the water quality domain, so that we build that security both from an availability, use, and quality perspective. The third area is advisory support, and this is together with the fifth area, knowledge dissemination, offers the platform where we want to drive innovation uptake, product uptake, so that there's greater stimulus in dealing with many of the challenges with new solutions rather than the old problematic ones. And, from a knowledge dissemination perspective, we want to also start using new instruments through the advisory support and the knowledge platforms to ensure that we get to a more diverse group of users, etc., but find new vehicles and processes that the uptake leads to the impacts we want to see from the kind of research and innovation that we develop. So as I said, that we will put out a document that shares detail in annexes of each of these themes, the theme leaders, and today the theme leaders will give you an overview of what will be in those documents, indicating some of the priority areas that we see, that we would like to focus in this call cycle as a guidance. Now, the 2023 call aim is, like I said, very specifically, like the CEO presented, respond to national challenges, okay, that we are facing, in times of climate change. And we've seen the consequences of this. And we have to direct research in the direction that builds resilience and adaptation to many of the things that we see happening, but prepares us to deal with this better from a water security perspective. The RDI call also has a new nuance to it, where we want to open up this research environment, not only to seasoned researchers, okay, at the institutes of higher learning, okay, but we want to now start targeting meaningfully emerging researchers, and we have vehicles that that we want to support in terms of longer-term funding for PhDs and postdocs and on projects that allows those things to happen, rather than the kind of stopgap approaches. Okay, we want to, like I said, give greater attention to postgrads as a career throughout thematic areas, but also try to harness the potential and strengthen the platforms for women, for youth, for cooperatives, for environmental groups, NGOs, and people with disabilities. So we want to broaden it up, that we have more diversity of a research community in our system. But within that, we're also saying that, everyone's a researcher, so we should also, reach out to the kind of indigenous knowledge and indigenous people and what they have to offer in terms of this resilience and adaptation. So giving attention to not the normal, very high-tech research community, but also allow, the grassroots to become involved in sharing their, knowledge of how they're managing to deal with these solutions. Then we also creating space for innovators and tech companies, especially SMMEs and commercial partners, to also come in to stimulate the innovation environment. And of course, our consulting research companies, etc., would continue to be part of that band that continues to strengthen our pool. So we're hoping to, like I said, in this call, diversify and and build up, a stronger research community over the next 5 years. So something different in the call that we are doing this year, and it comes from listening to many people that, the full proposal system becomes a little bit time-consuming, cumbersome to review, long, etc. So this year we're trying the route of, experimenting is that we are going to request a very short concept note on what your research is going to entail. Okay, and the concept note template would be shared with you, but it's a very short 2 to 4 page document that gives us the title, the rationale, the objectives, and estimated budget. And we want to do a very quick turnaround on this concept note review process. So, the concept notes will be submitted. They will then go through a review process by the WRC. And, we'll shortlist the concept notes that align and meet the kind of responses to our strategy, the 5-year and what we put out in terms of TORs and topics. And those shortlisted concept notes will then be invited to submit a full proposal to the WRC, okay, which again would be reviewed internally to meet all our requirements and be aligned to the outputs we want to see. So it's a very new, you'll have to be patient with us, and we hope that it also resonates with you, in a way that will make this a much easier process should it appeal going into the future. And these are some of the timelines we envisaging, through this process, that, straight after all these engagements that we are having, we will do the announcement for the concept note call on the 8th of September with a closing date of the 29th of September. Please note there will be no extensions to this because, like I said, it's a shorter time frame that we are targeting. Internally, we have our own objective to review these concept notes by the 13th of October, and through our executive processes be able to then respond to people by the 18th of October. And we just got a rider on it. Depending on the number of concept notes we get, we may not inform the people that were not successful, because if we're sitting with 400, it just becomes a little bit of an exercise, but we will try. So the concept notes that are successful will be informed by the 18th of October, and they'll be required then to submit a full WRC proposal by the 30th of November, which will go through an internal review, and hopefully that the contracts should be issued by the 15th of March for you to start on the 1st of April. So that's the new process. We will share this in the advertisements and the documents that we are going to put out after this engagement. So I'm going to now hand over the program to the theme leaders, and they will share with you in slight detail the objectives, the scopes, and how they're trying to create this integrative kind of approach that responds to the challenges we have going into the future. Thank you, Thabile. Virginia, the floor is yours.
Thank you kindly, Jay. Thank you very much. As you've already said, let's get straight to it. And to get us started on the themes, I would like to hand over to Dr. Shafiq Adams, who will give a presentation on water availability. Hi, Shafiq, over to you.
Good morning, colleagues, and just showing you my mugshot. It's in vogue this time. Just give me a second to share my presentation. Can someone just confirm that it's presenting?
Yep, Shafiq, it's there.
Okay, thank you, colleagues. So I'll speak to the thematic area, water availability, and it's simple. It's the main objectives are to ensure sustainable water availability across all scales and contexts. And I think this is important. I want to re-emphasize all scales and contexts, not just around the catchment scale, not just around the metros, etc. All scales and contexts to produce innovations that resolve water challenges and improve water management practices. And the way we think about water availability is that anthropogenic demand plus what we need for environmental functioning, plus the unallocated water resources, whether it's through governance provisions or non-provisions, but also water that has not been tapped yet. And the water availability theme has 4 strategic outcomes, if you like, that supports the WRC overall strategic plan. And this is around building climate resilience, enhance sustainable water management, and to explore new supply sources, whether it's alternative sources or the expansion of existing use. And then to promote ecosystem protection and use. And of course, I hope that you will read the WRC corporate strategy that speaks around water security, adaptation, and resilience, that it needs to be innovation-driven and empowered stakeholders. So these are the ingredients that we will look for in some of your proposals. And just also to emphasize where we are moving. So we are moving fairly fast to the right. So the idea of the past for some of you, that you have an individual project or what I would call your pet project, that it has a very narrow focus, and then it ignores what's been done or what is been done, has been done. But what we're also looking at is for a bit more higher impact, and impact that it's transformational. So a lot of these things needs to be connected and coordinated. And also, how do you get more stakeholders involved in your project? For example, when you do a water assessment or a modeling exercise, do you, for example, use things like participatory modeling approaches, where you use stakeholders that's actually living in the area to test some of your conceptual ideas, etc. So these outcomes, and the best way to think of them are, they are interlinked within the theme, but also interlinked across the thematic areas. And we'll see an example of some. So this is basically used to guide your own proposal ideas using the open call. So this is in the old language, the unsolicited proposals, where you give us what you think the activities and output should be that supports these outcomes, and then you'll see later where we give you what we want in the outcomes, and then you work back and then develop your proposals, basically your activities and outputs. So how do we build climate resilience? Develop advanced monitoring and modeling tools to assess water availability, predict water scarcity, flooding, and facilitate informed decision-making. Enhance water conservation practices through the development of smart technologies and devices and sustainable water management strategies. And again, then also how do we develop new supply sources? And again, this is how, based on current projections, that we will have a supply deficit. But how do we then narrow or shorten that period of which we think that we will have this supply deficit by bringing more water online, but also by using it more efficiently, what's available in the resources. And of course, enhance sustainable water management. And again, the focus here was around develop innovative, localized and context-driven water management strategy. And again, you'll see we re-emphasize, the CEO said, localized and context-driven water management strategies. Socioeconomic studies to understand the implications of water scarcities on communities, livelihoods, and economic development will remain a key core focus. Enhanced knowledge about the importance of water availability, conservation, and responsible water use. It again links to some of the other thematic areas that you'll see later. And again, develop and support platforms to improve data for decision-making and planning. Promote ecosystem protection enhance the protection and use of blue and green infrastructure, ensure the mainstreaming of strategic water source areas in bylaws and policies, promote the adoption of nature-based solutions for water availability, such as rainwater harvesting, green infrastructure, and catchment restoration. And again, I think this is so. Here is the list of directed calls that we want people to also pay attention on, and the flagship in this thematic area was developing a water security index for South African settlements. And again, you'll in the full document you'll see what the outputs are, and this will be, and that also to answer one of the questions in the chat. This would be an example of a typical 5-year project, and again, it is linked within the thematic area, but also across the thematic areas of the WRC. And just for context, if you want to understand the thinking around this, there is a science brief on our website. So if you go to the Knowledge Hub and you put in, for example, Water Security Index, you'll get a brief as to what we think it should look like. Another project would be around disaster preparedness for local municipalities. I think the district municipalities and the metros are doing fairly well, but there is an issue at the very local level again. Refinement of groundwater recharge estimation methods and approaches, and this is basically refining what the existing recharge methods, but also again, it is a scale context, integration of urban groundwater flows into urban planning and infrastructure development, as we see that groundwater is probably next on the list, or maybe third after diesel in being a conjunctive water source. And again, how do we get ahead of the curve of bringing this into the mainstream? Streamlining green infrastructure into municipal asset management. So this also came out with discussions with COCTA, something that they're seriously looking at. Enhanced integrated citizen science toolbox. So we have a variety of tools, citizen science tools, but how do we now develop this toolbox, and how do we popularize, and how do we standardize, and how do we use it for better decision making with existing official system? And then, of course, we also want to look at river restoration tools. I think we also do not want to neglect where most of our water is coming from at the moment. So some of you will know that we have a big program around siltation of dams. But again, I think we need to look at the state of our rivers and the outputs that go with these. CEO also spoke around some of the blue sky ideas, but you can also use the themes and outcomes, the theme outcomes for your own ideas. So it's not restricted just to these two. We would like to understand and know what you're thinking in terms of solving some of our current and emerging challenges. And just one of the ideas is around the potential of deep geothermal energy for groundwater management, but also the untapped resource that is deep groundwater. And we started to do some work in this regard, but is that the next frontier in groundwater provision, supply provision? And then, of course, prediction research remains a key focus area. What are these new tools and approaches that we can use for predicting whether it's climate or anything related to water? Another component is how do we repackage some of the existing knowledge into formats that's accessible to a variety of stakeholders. And again, one can look at what the needs are. And this is mainly driven by the fact that if you look at the most requested reports from the WRC, it is in the title guideline manual toolbox. So people are looking for how to do things. And I think we need to unlock some of the the research that sits in scientific reports into these guidelines or toolboxes or desk references. So with that, Program Director, I think that's the end of thematic area 1, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Shafiq. Thank you very much for that concise presentation. We also are seeing your comments and your chats. Thank you for that. We're seeing one from Ismail. And thank you, Jay, for responding to those from Gavin and Sarah. Much appreciated. We move on now, and we are going to take a presentation on water use, and this will be made by Professor Sylvester Mpandeli. Prof. Zama will be driving your presentation, but when you are ready, please appear and give us that presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, colleagues, and thanks, Virginia, for that introduction. I've been requested to lead a theme that deals with water use. Next slide, please. This theme, it has got a very simple, straightforward objective. The objective of this theme is to ensure sustainable water use across the water sensitive sectors. The whole idea is to make sure that we use our water resources in a very effective and efficient manner. The fact that South Africa falls among the 30 driest countries, we have got the responsibility to make sure that we use our water resources in such a way that we produce more by using less water. This is the principle that was mostly used by agriculture sector, and as Jay has indicated during his opening remarks, this theme, it covers wide range of sectors, your agriculture, mining, industry, drinking water, domestic, sanitation, and so on. And this is the new direction that we are taking as Water Research Commission. And I do believe that we're gonna be in this journey together with our key strategic partners or institutions. Next slide, please. The scope of this theme, firstly, we have decided to define what water use is. And it's defined as the total amount of water withdrawal from its source, especially for socioeconomic use. We know that there are various economic sectors that are using water. And we are trying to push this philosophy of the understanding that each and every economic sector should be try by all means to at least access water for various activities. And we do believe that, the water usage should help to evaluate the level of demand by users. And I can give an example about the fact that the agriculture sector uses 62% of our water resources. However, there are also other strategic sectors that are using our water resources like energy, biodiversity, health, and so on. The water use theme, as I've highlighted at the beginning of my presentation, it focuses on municipal water use. Water supply will also be covered, wastewater, sanitation, agriculture water use, industrial water use, and mining. There must be a mechanism or strategy to make sure that we create trade-offs, synergies, harmonization amongst those sectors. And I'm glad that a sector like agriculture is trying by all means to make sure that we reduce the water demand and the water consumption, especially with the big commercial farmers. And the good news is that there are certain commodity groups that have started reducing the water consumption. And we do believe that this is the way to go. The strategies that whatever decision support tool that has been developed by WRC is being used to monitor water use, monitor water efficiency. And the whole idea is to make sure that the water footprint within the sector is properly managed and monitored. Next slide, please. As I've highlighted, if you look at this slide, this slide is it provides strategic guidance among sectors, and it also shows how sectors are using our water resources. If you look at domestic sector, for example, it uses 27%, mining 3%, industry and forestry, they also use 3%, and energy uses 2%. But what we are trying to do here is to make sure that the efficiency principle, which is also linked with, if I can refer to the FAO principle, we want to produce more food by using less water. And we should try by all means to make sure that while we are reducing the water consumption, we should try by all means not to constrain the system, so that at the end of the day, we shouldn't neglect issues related to energy security, issues related to food security. And we have got the responsibility to make sure that we don't leave anyone's behind. It is the responsibility of each and every sector or individual to make sure that we use our water resources in a sustainable manner for the sake of the future generation. Next slide, please. We also developed this idea of one water use concept, and the whole philosophy is to make sure that the water sensitive settlement is focusing, on water supply, use and security in human settlement. This is very interesting, considering the fact that last week Friday, there was Women's Symposium, which was organized by Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development. And some of the issues that were highlighted were with regards to the human settlement and spatial planning, especially if you look at the peri-urban agriculture activities. And we had a very interesting discussion, which was led by the minister, to say, those who are living in metros or in towns, we should try by all means to make sure that we are food secure, we're producing our own food. It doesn't matter about the size of the land and so on. You can do vertical farming. And this is the philosophy that needs to be lumped with this water sensitive settlement. And we do believe that there are various mechanisms wherein we can also tap in the smart water services and institutional management to ensure a relationship and partnership between service provider, both external and internal. And we do believe that there are various issues that we need to look at it, including finance, human behavior, cost recovery, regulation, and management. And these are all the issues that are linked within the value chain. The smart water supply networks and efficiency offer the project for system to be resilient. And this is very, very important. We need to put infrastructure in such a way that such kind of infrastructure will be able to withstand natural vagaries. It will be able to withstand whatever extreme climatic events we are facing, more especially floods. And we should also try by all means to redesign some of the system, like some of the drainage system that we have witnessed across the country. They are not climate resilient, and we need to change the way we design our infrastructure project or programs. This is due to the threats posed by climate change and the fact that the population is increasing, and there's also a movement of people from rural to urban areas. So the current infrastructure that we have, it faces a lot of pressure, and we have got the responsibility to make sure that we make future projections. We do this at various platforms like RDI, on water, energy, food nexus. We look at that to say, in order for us to push the integrated system, we need to look at various issues like movement of people, population increases, and the projection, what's going to happen maybe in 2050. Next slide, please. Water sensitive, I think I've already touched on this, but the most important thing is to highlight the water sensitive urban design, linked it up with the municipal initiatives. And we also need to make sure that issues related to climate change adaptation and resilience are taken care of. Remember, climate change adaptation, according to the National Climate Change Response Policy document, which was finalized in 2012, highlights the fact that climate change adaptation issues need to be lumped into integrated development plan at local levels. So that at the end of the day, we shouldn't be like we are starting a new thing. We need to lump it into existing programs in order for us to minimize duplication of activities, and also to make sure that we use the current resources that we have in terms of human capital development, in terms of technology that has been developed by various climate sensitive sectors. And the other issue is to make sure that the best management practices in terms of water urban sensitive design, it's relevant to South African situation. It's nice to import decision support tool or any innovations somewhere else, but that innovation needs to be condensed in order for such kind of decision support tool or innovation to suit our local situation. And we have got the responsibility to make sure that we monitor such kind of technology so that it can improve the life of our people. It can assist various sectors to generate more income, also to make sure that it will assist us to be more efficient in terms of our water usage. The last one is just about integrated investment decision framework for this. You'll see later on, some of the proposed focused area that we are putting them on the table as Water Research Commission. Next slide, please. The water youth theme has got 5 focus areas. And the first one is the smart water services and institutional management. And we are proposing that a strategy to strengthen position and roles of water board in the water service delivery value chain is very, very important. Over and above that, we have got the responsibility to make sure that we developed guidelines, manuals that will assist us to be able to develop community-based water service enterprises. And we are also proposing scoping studies, looking at various issues, including the institutional modality of water services in managing a water mix scenario. Another scoping study that we are also proposing is to determine the optimal model and requirement for water services under licensing regime. Colleagues, you will recall that previously, most of these themes, your focus areas, were managed under J. Bagwan's portfolio. Due to the new realignment, this now it falls under the water use. And another one that we are proposing is forecasting the cost and requirements of independent WSP regulator. And all these issues, I mean, needs to be addressed in such a way that it will assist us to be able to address the science policy interface and also strengthen the research gap that we might have come up with as time progresses. Another key focus area is more on the evaluation of support, looking at quality, quantity, appropriateness, and efficacy. And this it will be done across 3 spheres of government: national, provincial, and also at local levels. And I do believe that this maybe could also be linked with the district development and models that is being championed by various departments at the moment. The last one is just a mechanism to improve municipal water services revenue collection rate. We know that, I mean, this is a big issue in terms of revenue collections. There must be mechanisms in order for local government to improve the system and making sure that households or consumers or South Africans are also playing part, because in order for us to recharge our fiscal system, obviously we're expected to pay, and making sure that, I mean, whatever service that is provided, we take responsibility to make sure that such services is also complemented by payments coming from consumers. Next slide, please. The second focus area is more on projects focusing on smart water supply network and efficiency related to technology. Yes, it is important for us as Water Research Commission to generate knowledge and manage that knowledge. But we also need to make sure that we developed innovations or decision support tools that will complement the knowledge that we've generated, or research outputs that, I mean, we've generated. And here we are proposing various techniques that are there, including the remote sensing, I mean, techniques, using drones. And this is not really a new thing. We know that, I mean, countries like Israel, for example, it has got various technology in the water sector. And for us, we need to advance this technology in order to minimize time that we spend by driving around looking at the water leaks. We can use to monitor water leaks through various technology. And this forms part of the fourth industrial, I mean, revolution philosophy. You know, presidency is championing this fourth industrial revolution program. The other point that I would like to highlight under this slide is just to permanently deploy the loggers and sensors, often constrained related to battery life. The idea of self-powered loggers that run off the low water it's novel. We need to do this, and we do believe that colleagues will assist us to champion this philosophy. The next slide, please. The third focus area is more on policy and framework. We know that, I mean, we cannot just generate knowledge and leave it in our shelves. We have got the responsibility to make sure that, I mean, our research and development and innovations are linked with the policy positions and frameworks. And our argument is that whatever policies, strategies, plans, act, such kind of, I mean, initiatives should be informed by latest science. And we need to make sure that, I mean, researchers are communicating with policymakers. Policymakers are also, I mean, well informed about the outcomes generated by Water Research Commission. I'm not going to go bullet by bullet, but suffice to say that this theme 3, it's looking at various issues wherein various, I mean, government departments are also linked to this theme 3, including our shareholders, which is Department of Water and Sanitation, Science and Innovation, and so on. There are various initiatives that have been proposed, especially under bullet number 3, which includes the establishment of the South African National Cloud Strategy, which is a very, very important issue, and we do believe that we'll champion that idea. The last one is just only to highlight that there are also regulatory targets or issues across the globe, and one of these, it includes UK and Denmark. Next slide, please. The fourth one is wastewater use and management. Happy to say that we are doing very well as Water Research Commission. I know I'm aware about ongoing work which is being championed by John Zimba and other colleagues within the mining space, and our main focus area is that wastewater reuse and recovery, from industry, domestic and mining influence waters. This, we need to refine a mechanism to reuse our water resources. We cannot dump and say this is a waste. There are various issues that we are proposing on the table, like industrial water use efficiency in support of reduced effluent generation, water use assessment evaluation in support of renewable energy, the green hydrogen, which is being championed by Department of Science and Innovation, and also the fit for purpose use of wastewater effluent. Over and above that, technology is very, very important, and we need to make sure that we use this technology for resource recovery from wastewater effluents. One of the issues that we are trying by all means as an organization to make sure that we see the impact. Jay, can you switch off the mic? We see the impact on the ground, and also making sure that various communities are benefiting out of this is to do what we call project demonstration approaches, and this is done across different provinces in the country, and this will also assist us to be able to scale up of high value products, services, process for wastewater effluent valorization. It's not only within the wastewater use and management, we're also doing this within the agriculture sector. And the last one is sustainable post-operation water use and management. Next slide, please. I don't know what is required. Nothing special. Jay, okay, the last one is sanitation transformation initiative. This is a big thing. The CEO has touched it during opening remarks. And we need to partner with various institutions or stakeholders or sector, including Department of Basic Education, because issues related to this pit toilet is a big thing, and WRC has developed various technology within this space. And another one is to make sure that we champion the re-engineered toilet sanitation sensitive design and also sanitation linked business. The last one is non-sewered sanitation for the future. This is a global program, and WRC is embracing this program by making sure that we adopt it and condense it based on our local situation. Next slide, please. The last one, it deals with water use in agriculture. And as I've indicated during my opening remarks, I've highlighted the fact that agriculture is one of the main culprits when it comes to water demands and water usage. for us, we are proposing that, improving water use efficiency and understanding of water footprint in the agriculture sector is very, very important. And this needs to be championed across various commodity groups. And we need to make sure that, we label our footprint initiatives. Some of you you'll recall that for those big commercial farmers who are exporting their products to EU and Asian markets and also South America, they have to label their footprint or water usage as part of the labeling of the products. The another one is to improving irrigation system and agriculture practices while protecting water resources. This is very, very important. Yes, we need to address issues related to food security without constraining the system. The third one is supporting communities and farmers to improve agriculture products and mainstreaming indigenous underutilized groups. Yes, we are pushing very hard on issues related to neglected or underutilized crops for various reasons. Some of the reasons is because these underutilized crops, a majority of them use less water. These crops are rich in nutrients, they are easy to manage, and they are drought tolerant, which means that we don't need to worry about the high climatic variability that we are always experiencing. Every day or every month, some of these crops can be able to sort of, complement the high value crops that are affected by threats posed by climate change. Another key focus area, which is very, very important, is the supporting the adoption and use of transformative and sustainable agriculture practices, the water, energy, food nexus, which will also complement or cover the circular economy. This is very important for us. We need to keep on pushing this because the water, energy, food nexus story is linked to sustainable development goals, and we would also like to monitor if South Africa or SADC region or Africa will be able to meet the SDG targets come 2030. There are various activities taking place, and we need to make sure that we harmonize our activities so that at the end of the day, we come up with consistent messages, and we also need to make sure that we speak with one voice. Another proposed idea is extending the service life of irrigation water infrastructure in South Africa. This is the idea coming from the Department of Water and Sanitation, and we do believe that this is the way to go. I'm linking this with the discussion which took place last night in one of the national televisions about the fact that government needs to invest in infrastructure, and we need to make sure that such kind of infrastructure needs to be maintained, and those infrastructure need to be climate resilient. Another one on water, energy, food nexus was linked to policy and cross-sectoral management. We will keep on refining our scenarios that we've already developed, and we do believe that we'll identify research gaps that need to be addressed, linking up with policy issues. Strengthening existing weather early warning system to enhance preparedness and intervention for risk reduction. This is a cross-cutting idea or focus area, and it overlaps with some of the work that is being handled by Shafiq. We need to make sure that we cross-reference our activities in order to minimize duplication. Promotion of water use efficiency pathway to ensure water security. I don't need to overemphasize this. We know that South Africa is a water scarce country, and this is also based on the different agroecological zones that we have in the country. We have got the responsibility to make sure that the issues related to water use efficiency are taken care of. The last one is accelerating pathway for achieving SDG and national development goal to enhance resilience and adaptation. This will also assist us to make sure that, we are part of the solution, especially with regards to the issues that are being discussed at the Presidential Climate Change Commission and also at provincial climate change advisory committees that have been established by various provinces. We have got the responsibility as Water Research Commission, firstly, to make sure that our themes are aligned with the national priorities. Number two, our themes should be aligned with the priorities or needs from various sectors. Our themes should also be able to assist the policymakers to be able to come up with policies, plans, strategies that are practical and also addressing issues on the ground. I think this is my last slide, Virginia and Tobile. Yes, that's perfect. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to share with you.
Prof, thank you very much. We apologize for those slight interruptions. We remind participants to kindly keep your mics muted unless at question and answer session, please, after we call on your name. We're watching the time, and unfortunately, we're going to put a bit of pressure on Dr. Nonhlanhla Kalibaila to save a bit of time after Prof. 10 minutes, Doc. Please give us your presentation on water quality and health. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nonhlanhla Kalibaila. I'm a research manager at the WRC. I have been requested to do the water quality and health presentation for today. Just before I kick off the presentation, can you please, guys, confirm that you can see my presentation and it is in slide presenter mode?
We can see it, but it's not on presentation mode, Doc.
Okay. Let me... And now?
Now it is. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I am not very good with multitasking, so I am going to switch my video off, but I will remain here if there are any other questions or anyone really wants to see me on screen. Right, the water quality portfolio of the WRC has been around for a while, and it is the anchor portfolio, as there could not be water availability without the right quality. As well, there would not be any water use if the water is not of usable quality. However, over the past years, we have actually taken a relook at the portfolio. So the portfolio runs across the WRC. If anyone remembers the previous key strategic areas, it used to run across. So we sat together a couple of years back and we did a relook and also had some consultation from the sector. And that is why now you see that we recently then adopted the water quality and One Health topic for this thematic area. All right, okay. So I just wanted to start by giving just a short background or just context on how we came about to the water quality and One Health topic for this thematic area. So for over a while now, we have known that the environment is very critical in providing water for life generally, whether we're talking about human or ecosystems. And we already knew that also the health of both humans as well as the ecosystems, animals, wildlife, also depends on the environment. So in order to capture these interdependencies between water quality as well as universal health, whether that of humans, animals, wildlife, or the ecosystem at large, the One Health concept is a concept that has emerged in recent years as one concept that is able to recognize these interdependencies, cross-sectoral as well as multi-sectoral approach to addressing such challenges. So water quality is very central to this concept because, as I've already said, that health depends largely on the quality of water. And also the other reason why really we adopted this One Health concept is because of its alignment to the SDG concept as well as other global policies and our very own national development plans. And also, as I've already said, this concept also forces us to shift our thinking as well as our activities towards a cross-sectoral as well as multi-sectoral or transdisciplinary collaboration across all sectors, public, private, public, industry, as well as academia. So the objectives of the theme are very simple. So what you see there at the top in bold are the envisaged outputs. So from all the activities that are going to be done under this thematic area, our envisaged outputs are the generation of new knowledge, data, insights, innovations, as well as capacity to be able to manage pollution and also establish its impact on health as well as sustainable development. And also, as I've already said when I started, that there would not be any, we cannot define water availability or water use without water quality. So this portfolio is very important to inform the usability of water by establishing the appropriate health-based targets or water quality values, thresholds for the different users to ensure that we safeguard health. And then to foster new partnerships and strengthen collaborations across sectors. And also, if you look at the Department of Water and Sanitation's integrated water quality management policies and strategies, it really requires that we collaborate, we foster new partnerships, whereby we also bring into the citizens or the scientists, citizen scientists, as part of the cohort of the scientists that are solving the water quality challenges. And then also it is to enhance the implementation of national policies that are geared towards addressing integrated, sustainable, as well as equitable water quality management. The bigger picture being to attaining water security. And then this slide, I am not going to read everything that is on this slide. I have already, I think, alluded to some of the key activities that we are looking forward to under this thematic area. But what I just wanted to emphasize is that the research project or the mainstream RDI, research development and innovation projects, are some of the core activities that we are looking towards commissioning in order to achieve our objectives. But over and above that, other instruments that the WRC has used and also is looking forward to also embrace going forward is the advisory panels. So whereby really we are required as a sector to be responsive to some of the challenges and also training, core learning, as well as building communities of practices where we can really share ideas and also co-learn on some of the emerging issues, as well as some knowledge dissemination activities where really the knowledge sits somewhere else and someone else or a knowledgeable person leads on a certain topic that is related to water quality. And then the focus areas that under this thematic area, there are 4. So the very first one is really one that is geared towards supporting the implementation of policies on water quality management, and also sector support in terms of some of the existing water quality regulation programs or governance programs that are already ongoing in the sector. And then the second one is on now trying to address the impacts, quantifying the impact of water pollution on sustainable development, on the economy, as well as health. And across all the areas, as I've highlighted when I started, that the outputs that we are envisaging is really the generation of knowledge, data, the insights, innovations, as well as the capacity building under each one of those. And then program 3 is on water quality surveillance, as well as risk communication. So here there has been a shift in that really, I think we have commissioned or funded a lot of studies that are on checking the emergence of new pollutants, but over and above that, now we're looking at how can we now do smart water quality monitoring, how do we communicate the risk better, and also how do we now start developing platforms, knowledge hubs, in order to start now communicating or disseminating the information that we've already gathered. And then the last one is now on the water quality management, the development, testing, deployment of innovative water treatment technologies, whether engineered or nature-based solutions. And then just some guidance on the call, the upcoming call. So we have 3 directed calls that have terms of reference that have already been drafted. And these terms of reference, they really provide more information on what is envisaged under these 3 studies. So the first one is related to a strategy. It is a strategic market assessment study on the production and use of chemicals for water, wastewater, and sludge management in South Africa. So this one was really informed. Some of you might know the context that there has been some shortage with chlorine that is used for water disinfection. So we just expanded it to look at other chemicals, not just to focus on the chlorine issue. So it is to look at market sizing and to try to look at how can we now make sure that there is enough production for the chemicals that are required for water treatment, water, wastewater, and sludge treatment in South Africa. So the second one is on chemical safety. It is a little bit related to the other one, but now it is on the chemical use side. How do we make sure that the chemicals are used safely, and they are also in quantities that are safe for use, whatever that intended use is. And then the last one, it is really like a big study that has culminated from the years and years of research that the WRC has funded on emerging pollutants. So this initiative, National Research Initiative, is to build capacity as well, so that we make sure that we have the necessary capacity within municipalities, those that are able to do so, within also the private sector. There are enough laboratories that are able to also undertake the required CECs analysis. So for the open call, so we have some topics that we have prioritized. As I've mentioned, that program 1 is really focused on testing some of the new policy imperatives that are stated under the integrated water quality management policies and strategies of the country. So it is geared towards testing certain frameworks and also regulatory statements that are mentioned there. So I do encourage everyone to have a look at this document. So we have tried as much as possible to capture some of the topics that we have prioritized for the next call. And then the second one, as I've said, it is really geared towards to assessing the impact and quantifying the impact of pollution on health as well as sustainable development. So for some of the studies, there's been work that has been started, but we are looking towards expanding some of the work. There has been work that has been done on the Health Vulnerability Index. It was a scoping study, but now we're looking forward to extending it to other areas. And then I think I have already spoken about the surveillance program, that there is a lot of ongoing work, and as well, there are some suggestions that we have made for this particular program. And lastly, for the technology development program, as well here, we are looking at both engineered and nature-based solutions. So we have also put some suggestions. So these topics will be published in the call. And if there is anyone who requires detail, I am available to provide any if it is required. So this last slide is just to now conclude, just to, I think, as all the other theme leaders have said, that the long-term vision is to really make sure that the country achieves water security. So, so this, we cannot achieve it if we do not start small. The outputs to the outcomes, and then that would lead us to really achieve the bigger impact, which is water security. So that is the last slide for this presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Nonhlanhla Kalebaila, for that presentation. We wrap up the presentations with Dr. Manjusha Sunil, representing Dr. Valerie Naidu, and the presentation will be on advisory support. Manjusha, when you're ready.
Thank you so much, Virginia. Good morning, colleagues. Just turned on my video to show my face. I'm going to turn it off, but we'll turn it back on again at the end for any questions. Let me just share my presentation quickly. And if you can please let me know whether you see it.
We can, Manju, just slide.
Is it on slideshow?
Now it is. Thank you.
Okay, great. So colleagues, as Virginia mentioned, my name is Manjusha Sunil. I head up one of the technology accelerators at the WRC, and I'm standing in for Dr. Valerie Naidu this morning. I'm going to be presenting on thematic area 4, which speaks to water advisory and support. And you might find that this is not a very technical theme compared to the other thematic areas that my colleagues have spoken about. And this is essentially because in this particular theme, we're trying to bring out transfer and uptake, and also focus on building resilience between a variety of stakeholders, such as the academics, industry, public sector, and also communities. So when we were defining the objectives in this theme, we essentially did so by linking the objectives to how do we work and strengthen some of the capacity development instruments. So the universities, the NGOs, the community-based organizations that are able to translate the science either into innovation and then take it to respective end users, but also in this process, how do we strengthen the end users or the participants so that they are also able to develop the needed expertise required to provide support to the sector going forward. The second objective is twofold. I think we're aware that as innovations are developed, it's often quite possible to stay in the R&D space for a long time. But ideally, if you want an innovation to be useful, you have to focus on developing it into a product or process or service that's viable. And to get to that stage of having a viable product or process or service, one has to undertake demonstrations and development before you transfer the solution. And it's also important when developing new innovative solutions for the sector to realize that the solutions are also new for the practitioners or the end users, and one has to walk a bit of a journey with them. So it becomes pointless if we focus on too much on developing something and putting it out there, but the end users or practitioners are not aware of how to use it. And within the South African science sector, particularly at our higher education institutions, tech transfer officers have been established to provide support on patentable innovations, and also to look at opportunities such as licensing agreements. And at the WRC, we also have a similar office that is able to provide such support. And then thirdly, we're focusing more on supporting grassroots innovators, startups and entrepreneurs while building resilience. And over the years, the WRC has supported numerous innovations. And a key lesson that we've learned was that while it's important to be technically focused on the innovation, for a transfer to occur and for these innovations to be taken out, you also have to pay attention to the people whose ideas are being translated into innovations. So whose ideas are also being developed and demonstrated. Because if you don't pay attention to how you support and advise on that ecosystem, then it often hinders the progress of an innovation being taken forward. Now, moving on to the focus areas and how you need to look at these should you wish to structure any concept notes. So for the first one, which is capacity building instruments, here we are ideally looking for centers of excellence, but to participate in a very specific way, driving either the triple helix or the quadruple helix, depending on what you're doing. And what we're also trying to build is centers that are able to be very responsive to the sector and its needs, rather than just being responsive to the research space. So of course, there's a need for research excellence and student development. And we're also looking for more attention given to postdocs so that they can lead to becoming emerging researchers in the pipeline, more focus on translation of knowledge developed into innovation, and how you can work with the broader set of stakeholders rather, for socioeconomic benefits. So when thinking about concept notes, what we're also focusing on is to rectify based on a needs analysis. So more support towards historically disadvantaged institutions, which will then allow for such to organize themselves and build expertise, and then work with a range of stakeholders such as municipalities, provinces, and community-based organizations, as well as associated industries around them, in order to take some of that knowledge forward. So of course, your centers must also link to the thematic areas that my colleagues have spoken about. And we're also looking for opportunities linked to blue sky research, where there could be room for long-term funding, provided you can convince us of potential game changers for the sector. Now, focus area 2, which is innovation. I did allude to this earlier, where I mentioned that we've done a lot of innovations and demonstrations at the WRC or through the WRC, and we've also, through this process, been able to understand how to manage the space a lot better. So if you have innovations at a higher technology readiness level of, say, between 6 and 9, then we're actually also looking to develop such prototypes into products or processes or services that works in an integrated manner such that it's able to be realized. And here we're looking at areas such as the circular economy, which can be quite complex and works across multiple sectors. But ideally, we want to look at how we transform the way we manage waste. How do we manage sludge? How do we manage polluting waters in the future, etc. We're also looking for opportunities for entrepreneurs and grassroots innovators and inventors. We're trying to look at spaces here where you have a good idea, but have not had support to take that idea further to a prototype. And we're looking to onboard such individuals into a longer term project with more support. What we've seen over the years is that innovators come from, a variety of backgrounds, and very diverse as well. So trying to onboard them with giving them the right kind of matching partnerships with technical experts and a range of other opportunities enables them to take their innovations onto the ground and into households and ultimately into a marketplace. So the areas that we'll look at are linked to water availability, water efficiency, and water quality spaces. We will look at innovations at the household level, communal spaces, municipal level, bulk level, etc. And during the innovation process, evaluation process rather, we will look at aspects such as, is it inventive? Is it a great game changer? Will it change the way we manage water or manage pollution, etc.? And then focus area 3, which is expert and extension services. This focus area could very likely in the future be more directed calls or partnership-based calls. And here we're looking at where we can bring the science system and its expertise and work with a set of stakeholders to change the current paradigm. So if you've got a body of knowledge and you've worked with it, how do you take this forward with such stakeholders? You might want to form an advisory which takes those groups of stakeholders towards something that is able to change a current practice or change the way we do things currently. We're also looking at WRC products or useful global products, and we are able to provide some extension services on vital aspects of water supply and the sanitation value chain, particularly to the rural spaces, to build capacity and to work, to learn by doing, and to bring that out by using some of the WRC's existing models or innovations, and ultimately take some of this knowledge and science products into application. We're going to have 2 types of calls. One is the open call, where we'd like to get a sense of some of the ideas that are out there. The more directed call would be an onboarding call. And this is based on about 5 years of experience now on working with many innovators. And we see the need for a sort of a 5-year support program for grassroots innovators, female innovators, township innovators, the green industry entrepreneurs, etc. And my last slide on the expected outputs and outcomes. So we're looking for outputs and outcomes in the following areas. Firstly, building stronger academic, industry and public sector expertise and alliances, basically where we can engage the right conversations and be able to advise in an appropriate way on how to change our current trajectories. And then we're also looking at how to increase inclusivity and innovation through supporting more youth, female, and grassroots innovators, but also looking at increasing the pipeline of solutions around climate resilience and adaptation, and supporting innovations through a stage gate process to ensure the suitability of an innovation to ultimately transfer it to an appropriate stakeholder, industry, or community. And with that, I'm going to stop. Thank you so much. And back to you, Virginia.
Thank you very much, Manjusha. We appreciate that presentation. And that, colleagues, brings us to the end of all our presentations on the new themes for the RDI. Nelson, we see your question, and Manjusha will provide more detail, I guess, about that the WRC only considers technologies as innovation. I would like to say that that is not entirely true. We do consider also processes as innovation. Just any new idea, whether it's in a form of a technology, a process, is also regarded as innovation in the Water Research Commission. So if you are leading a project, Nelson, and you think there is a process in there, there's a governance or a social issue in there that is novel, is new, one of our coordinators will share with you our innovation template, and you will see that the description on what an innovation is a lot broader than maybe what is appearing in the slides. Moving on, we also keep encouraging you to post your questions and your chats in the chat a page there. But in the meantime, we're going to be opening up for any questions that maybe you haven't posted there. Nelson, thanks for that comment. Thanks for that question. Are there any other questions, maybe any comments that colleagues would like to make before we close? While maybe we're still thinking about your questions, let us also share with you that there will be another session at 1 o'clock this afternoon. And we are also having the last one tomorrow morning at 9. And if colleagues maybe for some reason joined a bit late and missed out on some presentations, you are welcome to join those sessions. Alternatively, there will be all these presentations will be put together and posted to you after Wednesday when all the sessions have ended. I'm not seeing any hand being up. Thank you for the comment, CEO. Thank you very much. We appreciate it as well. Thank you for attending as well. And then, can we have an idea of the scale of funding of projects going forward? Nelson, maybe you want to come in and say this a little bit clearer. Please put on your mic and clarify what your question says. Nelson, please unmute yourself and speak to your question. Okay, I'm going to make an assumption that what Nelson
All
is
right.
asking. Oh, okay, there we go.
Okay, thank you, Virginia. No, I just wanted to thank the WRC first and to say that these are very relevant new areas of research. So when listening to the various presenters, it seems to me that the approach and process has changed somehow. So I wanted to ask, in terms of the scale of funding, I'm looking at budget. Is there a guidance in relation to what the WRC is looking at as what is an appropriate for a project, or this is still left for the proposer to decide in terms of what they want to do? In the past, I know that the WRC will normally want to fund something, but not really more than 2.5 million. Is that still the case? Yeah, I just want an indication of what we are looking at in terms of the scale of funding per project from a budgetary perspective.
Thank you, Nelson. The question is quite clear. Jay, are you still here? You want to take that question?
Yeah, I'll take the question. It all depends on what you propose, because when we assess the proposal, we look at the scope of work, the capital items, the extent of work, etc., etc. It's like I say that there's no formula. We just assess it, and that's why the review system also helps to say that is there a better methodology to achieve this, in kind of a more appropriate budget, recognizing that we have a pool of we have a set budget, and we try to maximize the participation as many people as we can. So it's very hard, Nelson, to say there's a magic number. It all depends, and sometimes we cut some of the stuff, to say that cutting means we lose one or two objectives, or changing the methodology, etc. But it's a negotiation that we go through. It's not like everything's $9.99 kind of thing.
Thank you, Jay.
That answer, Nelson, because
Yes, very, very clear. Is what I still imagine. Thank you.
Thanks, Nelson and Jay, for the response. Thank you very much. Any more questions, maybe? Let me check the chats. Yeah. I don't think there's any more. And with that said, colleagues, Phumuzo, if I want to conduct research on the role of our national forest systems in providing surface drinking water supply for the country, which section will that fall under? Prof. Mpandele, are you here? You want to take that question? And maybe Phumuzo can speak while you get yourself organized. Phumuzo?
Yeah. No, I think it depends on how cross-cutting it is, whether it's on the use side or whether it is about, for example, clearing or what do I want to say, more efficient trees, then it will be more on the availability side. So it just depends on where the focus of the project would be. But remember, the principle that we're also trying to drive home is that it should not just be focused. It needs to be slightly broader as well. But yeah, if it's a use side, it will go to the use theme area. If it's more on making more water available downstream, it would be on the water availability side. Thank you.
So Virginia, if I can also respond.
That's fine, Jay.
Yeah, my response would be to Pumetsu, don't fear the system, because like I say, that we're trying to create an integrated approach. If you think 80-20 it fits there, and if we feel that in our system it fits somewhere else, we'll let you know. We're not going to penalize you. Okay, it's new themes, so we also trying to encourage that integration. But again, like Shafiq said, that if the topics is forest and SDGs, and people like to just put SDGs in the title and not necessarily do anything on SDGs, then we will direct it to water use or resources or something. That don't fear
Thank
it.
you, Jay.
Like I said, it's not a penalizing process.
Okay.
Great, Phumuzo. That answers your question when you say okay, I guess.
It does, but it's just that when I will realize that in South Africa we have so much water and sources that we have never even tapped into saving the water. It's just flowing into areas where it's not even saved or used, and which we can find different forest, untouched forest systems which have got more water, and hence also like planting more trees in those forests so that we can get more water out of those kind of systems.
Okay. I think you have maybe a few research ideas, and maybe the programs that the presenters have made, and see how you actually align your proposal to those themes. I think for now we really need to engage a little bit more with your idea. Actually, what is it exactly that you're putting on a table? So we encourage you, Phumuzo, to please put in a proposal, look at those themes and align your proposal accordingly. Mzwandile, your question is, I missed a great part of the presentations. May I, however, ask desalination? Should this not be a WRC mandate or be covered by the WRC? And I think this goes to Dr. Nonhlanhla Kalabaila. Doc, do you want to take this one?
Thanks, Virginia. Hi, Mzwandile. Yes, so Dr. Shafiq Adams also mentioned it in his presentation that expanding the water supply sources is one of the focus areas. Water is also a source that is available for use. And then the treatment technology, as I said that now, so if you want the seawater to turn it into a certain quality of water, whether it is industrial grade water or to turn it into water for drinking, that's where then the water quality portfolio comes in, because that's when the treatment technology, whether innovative or you are putting together a treatment train, which is now a combination of treatment technologies so that it can get you to the desired water quality. So it is very much a focus area for the WRC. And we have also work that is ongoing on desalination, not just on the treatment technology side, also supporting the implementation of desalination by looking at the project delivery methods, de-risking the desalination process. As you know, that it is one of the expensive technologies. So looking at the energy efficiency side of things, as well as I've said, the institutional arrangements in terms of funding, project delivery, and de-risking. I hope that answers you. And just also to add to what the other colleagues have already said, I don't think that really, if you have an idea, you should really worry much about in which box it fits. Submit the proposal, then we'll read the idea, and then we'll find a home for it. Thanks, Virginia.
Thanks, Doc. Very clear. Billy, thanks for your comment. We really also appreciate you being part of these sessions. Thanks for your time. Colleagues, it's now 11 o'clock, and before Zoom kicks us out unceremoniously, I would like to really bring these sessions to a close. Suffice to say that there is another one in the afternoon, another one tomorrow that Tobile will share great detail on those. But for now, thank you very much for attending this session. Again, we apologize for a late start, but we appreciate your patience for staying through. I hope I didn't do a bad job of representing Dr. Mandla Msibi. We see you this afternoon at 1 o'clock. Thanks, colleagues. Over to you, Tobile.
Thanks, Virginia, but I think you've covered everything. I just wanted to advertise the one in the afternoon for colleagues to share with their colleagues that were not able to attend. We will only share the recordings after the last one tomorrow in the presentations. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thanks, goodbye. And in terms of where to find us, that question will be, please go to the WRC website. Once the call is advertised, it will certainly be on the WRC website, which is www.wrc.org.za, www.wrc.org.za. Thank you, everyone. See you later if you are joining in. Otherwise, keep well. Thank you. Goodbye.